I'm getting a lot of hate on a video I posted yesterday updating the world on what has transpired in Artsakh. And for those of you, I don't expect a lot of you to be watching this. Maybe you will, but that video got a lot of heat. I'll show you in a minute. But I want to give you all a history lesson. So if you can, stay tuned. I'm going to educate y'all. I've been getting a lot of the gist of the hate is I'm misusing that term genocide. I'm being very one-sided in what I'm saying, and that just face the facts. Justice has prevailed. That the Azeris have won back their land. That this is a victory for Azerbaijan. I understand all that sentiment. If you have strong nationalistic feelings and affinity for your history, and Azerbaijan has a history. I mean, they came into existence in 1918, and so I get it. I understand that. But the vitriol in your comments betrays something, essentially makes my case for me. The hatred and the vitriol in the comments, even the personal attacks on me, and somebody said you need to get some anti-reflection glasses and calling me a monobrow. I mean, picking personal attacks on me. It's hilarious. I haven't read all the comments. I'll show you in a second. But a little history lesson about this region right here. Somebody even commented on this ridiculous map. This is a historical map. This is the region. This is what we're calling Azerbaijan these days, Armenia these days, and Turkey now. All right, and I want to direct your attention to this. These three lakes are kind of how I look at this as Armenia, even though this has always kind of been in Iran or Persia, but Lake Van has traditionally been part of Armenia, and Lake Savan. Lake Savan is currently still in Armenia. All right, so the bad news, cutting over to this camera, is Armenia, Azerbaijan, Russia signed deal to end Nagorno-Karabakh war. I read some of this in the post, in the video from yesterday, so I won't read it all, but I want to get into a little more detail. The signed trilateral statement will become a crucial point in the settlement of the conflict, Azerbaijan's president Ilham Aliyev said in a televised online meeting with the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. As I read yesterday, Pashinyan, the prime minister of Armenia, described the decision as unspeakably painful for me personally and for our people. An in-depth analysis of the military situation that has seen Azeri forces closing in on Stepanakert, the region's main city. That's the reason. His reasoning is based on the military situation. In other words, Armenia doesn't have any support. Armenia doesn't have any help. Azerbaijan has Turkey, and Armenia is not getting the help that they need to fend off the attacks. Is that one-sided? Well, no. It's attacks on Armenia. They've been living there, and then Azerbaijan decided to attack and take the land. And so peacekeepers are being brought in. I won't read all of this, but essentially Russia is sending almost 2,000 peacekeepers, and then Azerbaijan says there will be Turkish peacekeepers as well. Down here, the Russian Defense Ministry said it had begun deployment of its peacekeepers. Here, Aliyev says Turkish peacekeepers will be deployed. And here's Pashinyan. This is not a victory, but there is not defeat until you consider yourself defeated, Armenians, Pashinyan said in announcing the agreement. We will never consider ourselves defeated, and this shall become a new start of an era of our national unity and rebirth. It's a positive spin he's trying to put on a very, very negative situation. The mood in Yerevan, the Armenian capital, was angry within 20 minutes of the prime minister's Facebook post. People were on the streets, later forcing their way into the main government buildings and parliament and calling on Pashinyan to go. The city is in chaos at this point. Neil Hauer, a journalist based in Yerevan, told Al Jazeera, everyone is incensed. There's a great sense of betrayal. Hundreds forced their way into the parliament inner chamber, occupying the seats of parliamentarians, shouting, resign and out. The reaction to this declaration of an end to the war in Armenia has been greeted with what appears to be absolute disgust and despair, said Robin Fostier-Walker, Al Jazeera's correspondent in Tbilisi in neighboring Georgia. There is just a sense of disbelief that somehow this is the only option for Armenia to effectively admit defeat and to sign this agreement with Azerbaijan brokered by Russia that brings this war to an end but effectively allows Azerbaijan to claim almost complete victory. All right, now for the history lesson, everybody. Here's a map. You'll recognize this is modern day map. This is Google Maps. Turkey right here, Armenia right here, Azerbaijan. Now, one of the phrases going around is that it's one nation and two states. Turkey and Azerbaijan consider themselves one nation but two states, which means they're unified in their purpose. And what is in between Turkey and Azerbaijan but this little region called Armenia? Even this little section down here is part of Azerbaijan. So Armenia, essentially these borders are closed. You can't go from Armenia to Turkey, and these borders are closed. You can't go from Armenia to Azerbaijan. And Nagorno-Karabakh's over here, but it's not registered. Google Maps doesn't have a region there. So Armenia has a border with Iran down here and Georgia up here. So they're pretty much squeezed in, and their only allies or neighbors in the region that are friendly to them is Iran and Georgia. They don't have a coast. They don't have access to a port, so they're landlocked. Not just landlocked, but their borders are closed. Most of their borders of Armenia are closed off. There's no passage. So this is what it looks like today according to Google Maps. But let me take you back to 1914. This is kind of a low resolution map, but this is what that part of the world up here is what's modern day Turkey. But that part of the world looked like in 1914, only 106 years ago. Ottoman Empire includes Israel all the way down here, all the way over here. And then here's Persia, which is Iran. So if you see this little tail sticking out here, that's modern day Azerbaijan. And notice it's in the Russian Empire, And you don't see an Armenia up here. You don't see a Georgia. You don't see an Azerbaijan. You don't see an Armenia in here. These are the empires. Down here's the British Empire. Over here's the Italians, Arabia. So Russia and the Ottomans, this is that border right here. And this region is populated by Armenians. There are some Turks, there are some Kurds, but the majority population in this entire region, even all the way over here, has been Armenians. So, Azerbaijan didn't exist in 1914. And you could argue that Armenia didn't exist in 1914, the modern state of Armenia. But Armenia, as you look on this map, right, here's the Russian. This is the Russian Empire up here, and this is the Ottoman Empire here. But Armenia has been here forever. And after the war, there was the Treaty of Versailles. But there was another treaty that never got ratified. And I want to show you what this region would have looked like. The Treaty of Sèvres of 1920. Here's that same region, and if I go back and forth, here's the modern day map. Let me zoom in and try and line it up exactly the way this map from the Treaty of Sèvres, what this region would have looked like. Right here, that's about right. Yeah, pretty close. So here's Lake Van. The other lake is over here, Lake Savon. It's off this map. But if the Treaty of Sèvres had been ratified, Armenia would have included all of this right here. Erzurum, Lake Van, all of this territory would have been Armenia. And even some of this down here that's disputed, that's, if you look at the key up here, Kurdish region. So there are a lot of Kurds. This is northern Iran and Iraq, Syria. So there's a lot of Armenians and Kurds in this region. And so some of that might have ended up as part of Armenia as well, or it might have been given to the Kurds. And then this would have ended up being Turkey right here. Ankara would have been Turkey. And so the Allies had this plan to divide this up. The Ottomans were on the losing side. And so maybe it's the greed of the British and the French and the Italians that ended up tanking this Sèvres treaty, because Armenia would have gotten their land back. They would have had independence. They would have been about 10 times the size it is today. But Ataturk moved the head of operations from Istanbul to Ankara and staged a resistance while the rest of the world had just finished World War I. They weren't about to go in and fight another war in the interior, this brutal interior of the Ottoman Empire. And so the Treaty of Sèvres was never signed. That's the history of this region. There was no such thing as Azerbaijan. It was part of the Russian Empire. And Stalin came in and divided it up and said, well, you Armenians can have this land, and you Turks over here will call it Azerbaijan. And as a note, Azerbaijan, the name of Azerbaijan, it's named after a province in Iran. You know, like a province named Azerbaijan. It's like, what are we going to call this region? Well, bordering this region is a province in Iran called Azerbaijan. Let's just call this Azerbaijan. All right. I don't expect many of the people that are watching this other video, but I just wanted to show this. I don't expect them to come and watch this and comment on this. Maybe they'll learn a little bit of history. But this video, Terrorism Wins, Devastation for Armenia, I posted yesterday, and look at this. It's got more than 3,000 views by now. If I refresh this and look at the comments, 291 comments. I could click on that. But over here, look at this. The likes versus dislikes. This is all the trolls, the Azeri and Turk trolls going, you lose, you're an idiot talking about history, you don't know what's going on. When they don't actually know what's going on, but I got 45 likes. It's nice. And then 295 dislikes. But if I clicked on these comments, it's all just people ragging on me, saying I don't know what I'm talking about. Please share this and subscribe. Let's get the truth out there.